Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who is tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Today, I have a very, very, very special guest with us today, and you might actually be, well, I'll say first. So, her name is Christine. She is a stylist, fellow tall woman and stylist. She has a lot of knowledge on styling for tall women. And I think you might actually be the first ever, if I'm not mistaken, stylist on this podcast. So there's a first for everything. Hi, Christine. How are you doing today?
Great, India. How are you doing?
I am doing fantabulous. The weather for the first time was not 2 degrees. So we're vibing with that.
That's a beautiful thing.
Of course, of course. Please just take a second to introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. So, my name is Christine Nelson, and as India said, I am a professional personal stylist.
Period.
So I help women really dress for success. So, feel great about the skin that they're in, the height that they're in, really help them understand, how to dress for their body shape and coloring, and just kind of pull it all together in one great package.
Ooh, I love that intro. And you're one of us. So do you mind just telling us how tall you are?
Sure, I am 6'4", or I like to say 5'16".
But I
Isn't
get
that
it.
great?
I
Yep.
did for a second I was like 5'16", but I get it because some people say like 5'12". So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't feel
Yep.
that's smart. That's smart. Now, I want to hear about your experiences growing up as a tall girl. The good, the bad, the ugly. What was that like for you?
Sure. Okay, so I am significantly older than you. I am 52. So I grew up in a very small town in Connecticut, and growing up 6'4" in a tiny, tiny microscopic town was challenging. I'll just say that. So I have to say, growing up, I was always very shy. I'm not a shy person at all, but I think my height really brought me inward.
Mm.
And I really was not comfortable in the skin that I was in elementary school, middle school. And it was not until eighth grade that the basketball coach had recruited me. And he said, "You have got to go on the team." And I'm thinking, I know nothing about basketball. All my friends said, "We need you. We need just stand in the paint and put your hands up. That's all you have to do."
Oh my gosh.
But truth be told, I was so hesitant to do it because I was afraid everyone would notice that I was tall in my uniform. Like I had really long, thin arms, little stick legs, and I did not want to put myself out there. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. My friends are on the team. The coach brings cookies. It's like a win win for everybody.
We love cookies. Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of my how I got into sports, and I have to say sports is what brought me like great confidence. So
Mm.
now, like moving on in my later years, I wear a lot of different hats. So I'm married with two awesome kids. Yep, both
Yay.
tall, one 6 feet, our daughter, and then our son is 6'6".
Wow.
Yep. And my husband's 6 feet. So I'm taller than my husband, and it is okay.
Exactly. Yes,
Yep.
it is.
I still wear heels. We can get to that.
Hmm.
Um, but throughout my life, I think basketball is the number one thing that gave me confidence. So from there, I played basketball in college. I played over in Europe, and I came back to the States. I worked for the Hornets and the Sting in sales,
Ooh,
which was
wow.
great. And then I have been working in pharmaceutical sales for the last 26 years for the same company. So I'm in outside sales. And then I started this wardrobe consulting business about 15 years ago. And I love it. I have to say, like, what I thought I would love about it, India, was like the fashion part, like putting clothes together. But what I really found, which gave me just tremendous gratitude and like joy, like great joy, is just helping women feel confident about where they are. Because there's so many things in life that knock us down, whether we're with someone who's maybe talking down to us, or maybe we're listening to society. We just don't feel good about ourselves. We don't look like everybody else. So it's like, how do we build ourselves back up?
Yep.
So And then the other thing that was cool is I was on Fox News for 3 years and I hosted my own television segment, which was a blast.
Wow, that honestly, it sounds like your whole entire journey has just, it sounds like a very fulfilling one, is what I'm trying to say.
It
It sounds
is.
like you did a lot and you had a good time doing it all.
Yeah, and I feel like, sometimes in life you don't know what you want to do when you're younger.
Yeah.
And but when you look back, I feel like my height, which I thought was the biggest thorn in my side and embarrassing, is what really kind of propelled me to really do well in life and open up a lot of doors.
Oh my gosh, I really, really like that. Wow. And just like a little bit of a follow-up, like what was something involving your height? It could be a question, it could be a comment. What was something
Mhm.
involving your height that you absolutely hated hearing?
I have to say, how tall are you and did you play basketball? And so, what kind of stupid question is that? I mean, let's be real, right? And here's the other thing I'm going to say. I'm just going to put this out here. So, in my pharmaceutical sales job, my coworker is 5 feet tall.
Mm.
We do a lot together. I always say together we make a normal sized person. So,
Yeah. It evens itself out, yeah.
exactly, level it out a little bit. So, when we are walking, let's say we're walking into an office together, it is astonishing how many people stop me and say, "You're tall. Did you know you're tall? Did you play basketball?" And my friend, she said, "This is so annoying. Like you get this all the time. And how can you just like deal with this?" And I said, "You know what, Renee, I've been doing this my whole life. And it really makes you have two things. Number one is a thick skin, and
Hmm.
number two is a sense of humor."
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And
mhm.
it's very interesting that even those questions come up in the workplace because you would think, isn't this a place where it's, kind of supposed to be neutral? Like, yes,
Yeah.
we know not to make comments about race or
Mhm.
ethnicity or anything like that, but like comments about height kind of like falls into that category in a way.
Totally. But
So,
I think the
mhm.
difference is people perceive height as a positive.
Mm,
So that's why they feel like, oh, I'm just going to throw that out there. It's either that or they really want to talk to you because you're very different looking and they
hmm.
don't know how to strike up a conversation. So, path of least resistance, how tall are you?
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I get
Yeah.
that. So you did mention that you literally have a whole wardrobing business. You've been doing this styling thing for a while. And I want to ask, how did you first get into fashion and styling?
Mhm. So, ever since I've been very young, I have always loved fashion. I come from a extremely creative and artistic family. Like my mom is an artist. My nana was a diva. I remember being six. Yeah, oh yeah, like drop it like it's hot. I remember being 8 years old and looking at Nana thinking, why is Nana not wearing like jeans? Like Nana always had a pink scarf. She had the beautiful white pressed jeans with the seam in the front.
Ooh.
She had the wedge shoes. Like everything is just polished and beautiful. The pink lip, the whole thing. Wait, the big earrings. And I remember kind of ripping on Nana when I was young. And then I got to the point where I idolized her. And, she worked in many boutiques. And so growing up in the 70s and 80s, there were not a lot of tall options for clothing. So I remember my favorite day of the year. Most people say Christmas, right? Or,
Yeah.
you know, not here. It was my parents saying, "We're going to give you some money to get some clothing for school." So they would give us some money or give me money, and my mom would go with me, and we go to Marshall's or something.
Mm.
And my mom, I love her to death. She's a great artist, but like I can handle this on my own, when it comes to shopping.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
I'm
get
like,
that.
"Mom, stay there." And my dad would give me, I don't know, I'll just say $300. I spent every penny of it. So
Wow.
then I would come home and literally I would turn on the music. I had a little red carpet and I had my own fashion. I mean, looking back, it's terrifying that I was doing that.
No. No, listen, we've all been there. I've had my fair share of fashion shows, just like like those videos or memes or whatever making fun of the fact that when you're younger you have like these performances for your parents.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yo, you were just having one of those just in your room.
that's
So
right.
I
That
get
everybody gets
that.
a pass, right?
Exactly.
So from there, I've just always been drawn to fashion. My friends have always asked me for fashion advice or color advice. And I just have this knack. Like, I guess I was just born with it. But I love it. Like, I love it so much. To me, fashion is art.
Mm,
That's really how I look at it. Is your body is a blank canvas, fashion is art, and whatever your style statement is, like that's the way you portray yourself. So I just wanted to really, again, it's like the first client that I worked with was the end. It was like, this is my calling. Like, this is what I need to be doing. And I've met so many interesting people along the way. So it's definitely enriched my life in so many ways.
that is so awesome. And I do agree. Fashion is definitely an art because, we use it to express ourselves. And that's what art is all about, whether it's actual visual arts, music, fashion,
Hmm.
anything. It's used to express ourselves and, just send a message out there, if you know what
Yeah,
I mean.
send a message and like be you. Like don't listen to what
Exactly.
other people say. Because to be
Exactly.
honest with you, other people don't know. Like you know you the best. So don't ever let someone say, "Oh, you're too tall for heels," or you shouldn't be wearing pants like that. Like whatever. That's fine for
Exactly.
you, but like I'm going to beat to my own drum.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. And, it sounds like you're very passionate and knowledgeable about this subject. What are some of your go-to styling tips and tricks that you've discovered that work especially well for tall women?
Tall women. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I have a very special place in my heart for tall women. And my number one thing, first of all, I'm going to say is knowing how to dress for your body shape and your coloring. It is critical. I mean, even when you're shopping, you're perusing a rack of clothing. If you know what colors suit you and you know what style, shopping is so easy. So when it comes to trends, it's interesting because my thought on trends is I don't really, I'm not a big trend person. If they work for you, absolutely. But, build a capsule wardrobe with some great foundational pieces that work for your specific shape and coloring. And then from there, if you want to, buy something trendy this season, that's great. But that would be my advice for number one. Number two, and I'm just going to put this out here. So I know skinny jeans have like gone and now maybe they're back. And I got to tell you, I have been doing this for so long is I wear skinny jeans under like my tall boot. And girl, I'm just telling you, like if I sit down, I am just hoping that my pant doesn't creep up over the boot line and then there's bare leg because I do have some pants that are so short and I'm like, no one's going to know. It's all good.
Yeah,
So
I get that.
yeah, and just being creative with your dress.
Mm.
Accessorizing is a big thing. Like you can wear just get a great pair of jeans, then get just a t-shirt and then a blazer, and you can do so many different things with it. So what I mean by accessorizing, scarves, belts, jewelry, hats, pins. Also being creative, like sometimes we know that blazers are tough, right? Getting the length on the
Mhm.
arm and the waist. So I love a vest. I think that's like a genius piece. And also, don't be afraid to think outside the box. So I got this awesome pair of jeans in New York. They're so cool. They're like 70s retro. They have vertical stripes, but they're a little bit of high waters. And I said to
Oh.
myself, like this is not a good look, but I am not walking out of the store without them. So I took the jeans to my local craft store and I found this great fabric and I brought it to my seamstress to just make a hem, like a trim on the bottom. And it gave me 4 inches and I absolutely love the pants.
Ooh.
Hmm.
So get a little craftsy with their stuff,
Yeah,
which
get a little creative.
And I think that's kind of becoming a bit more of a trend. Just, I mean, like it's kind of been a thing, but especially like in the tall girl community, it's something that's oftentimes a necessity. Just DIYing things
Yes.
to make it fit. And I mean, it's important, finding that correct fit.
Mm-hmm.
And, that kind of leads into my next question of how does finding the right fit? You were talking about accessorizing, or you
Hmm.
were even talking about building a capital wardrobe or embracing trends, if that works for you. How do all of those things kind of help tall women feel more confident?
So I think finding something that fits you is critical, especially being a tall woman. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'll go to like a Goodwill and I love a bargain, love thrifting, but I'll try a blazer on and the sleeves are like up here and I'm like, oh, I'll just
Yeah.
put on like 100 bangles. But there's something about trying on a garment that is specifically fit for tall. I mean, it is like Christmas morning. You put on the jeans and they fit, or they're a couple inches long. Then I'm looking at my 3.5 inch heels. I'm like, I can wear these with the jeans or a blazer. So I feel like right now is a great time to be a tall girl, a tall teen, a tall woman. It's like a tall person's movement right now, and especially tall women. And there's so many amazing retailers that are now catering to us tall women. So it is like hands down so much better than it used to be. And I, for one, am just I'm so thankful and I have so much gratitude for the tall retailers, like people starting businesses. It's so cool.
Yeah, it actually is. And even like going back to your point of even when you gave the example of the blazer, for
Hmm.
example, and it's like all the way up your arm and trying to
Yeah.
find like stuff to cover it up, it can be uncomfortable at times. And
Oh, yeah.
our presentation does, even though, part of it is like how we, like our aura in a way,
Yes.
but even our presentation can affect our aura or
Hmm.
affect how we, act around others and so forth in terms of feeling good. And because I was speaking actually with another guest the other day, and she was saying, like, if you feel like you look good, then you feel good.
Hmm.
And that is very important to remember when thinking about fit and accessorizing or even whether or not you do trends. So
Yeah. It
definitely.
is really important. I could not agree more. Like when you feel good, there's so many things that go great in your day. It's kind of like
Hmm.
self-talk in the morning.
Yeah.
Like I could choose to have a really bad day and be like, "Oh, I feel fat today. This doesn't work." Or I'm going to put on like my bright happy color and have a
Ooh,
little fun with little faux fur and rock it. Listen to a little Earth, Wind, and Fire going to work and just, choose your
exactly.
attitude. But dressing in things that fit you impeccably, I think boosts that. Two other things I want to comment on because I think they're really important. Most women only wear 10 to 20% of what is sitting in their closet.
Mm,
Like, that's crazy, isn't it?
that's an issue, actually.
It is an issue. It is. And then they wear it in the same rhyme or reason. So you don't need a huge wardrobe. You just need pieces that go together. And that's where like the color comes in.
Hmm.
So that's one bit of one little tidbit. The other tidbit is, and this is actually scary, when you meet somebody new, you form an opinion of that person within 7 seconds. And that opinion is very difficult to change. That to me is staggering, but
Hmm.
it's the truth. I mean, you think about yourself, you're in the grocery store and you're shopping for, the Prego. You're right, we're having a great time. And then someone rolls their cart by. We look at that person. I mean, not judgmental. Like you're not thinking, oh, look at that plaid. Sure, I don't think so. But like in the back of your mind, you actually do form opinions about that person. So when you're again in something that works for you and is a power color for you and you're feeling great, when people say to you, "Oh my gosh, India, you look so beautiful today." Like that color just brings like color in your cheeks and your eyes are sparkling. That is like a great, isn't that a great feeling to hear when someone says that?
Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of like you got to put your best foot forward. And I've realized that in the corporate world as well
Hmm.
is, sometimes I'm in sales. So you really have to be the whole part. You have to be confident in who you are, articulate, but I feel like wardrobe and how you dress and show up is one of the most important things because that makes you memorable as well.
Yeah, especially as someone who, is I mean, on a part-time basis, but kind of
Yeah.
entering that business corporate world and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
especially being in marketing too, very,
Mm-hmm.
very, how you show up and how you present yourself is very, very important. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And, there was also like a little point that you made in the middle when you were talking about, like the tall women movement and now more brands are catering to us, like their businesses now, like
Mhm.
the tall girlies are starting businesses to, actually make actual tall clothing for
Yeah.
us. But then it's kind of like a flip side in a way, not necessarily with them, because there is a lot of debate about whether fashion brands, especially bigger brands, bigger
Yeah.
retailers, actually cater to tall women. Like, is the debate is like if they actually cater to us or if they're just, trying to be inclusive just to say, yeah, like we have tall,
Mm-hmm.
we're inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know like what your take is on that and kind of like if you notice that if you think that these brands are actually genuinely trying to create inclusive options for us.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, my personal opinion on this, and I don't know if this is a right opinion or a wrong opinion, but when you look at some of the bigger retailers, I always look at it from like a profitability standpoint and like who are
Yeah.
we catering to and why.
Yeah.
So, we know that us tall fashionistas, we don't make up a huge percentage of the general population. So, I think that part of it is, to be honest with you, like Caitlin Clark, I'm sorry, WNBA basketball, like women's basketball in general, women's volleyball. Like there's so many awesome women, tall women. And I think, watching them go down the red carpet or the awards ceremony, I am looking at these women like, oh my gosh, these are runway models. I mean, they are stunning. They're dressed to the nines. So I feel like some of it is let's check a box. Also when you look at what tall is considered, a lot of these tall retailers, like big brand retailers, it's
Mhm.
5'8" and above. Okay,
Mm.
5'8", what? No. Like it's not going to work at all. I love the desire, but that's not where it's at. So
Yeah.
all of these tall retailers that are coming up, the tall brands by tall women, I am all about it because they really know like what the problems are. It's not just I need a longer pant, I need to like adjust the rise of the pant, the seam of the pant. I'm thinking about things like with the arm, like the arm size and like the collar. Do I want like we could probably wear a wider lapel versus like our petite friends, but it's totally in proportion and designed for tall women by tall women. So I think it is like the best thing ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, part of me is kind of like, these bigger retailers, as you said, could do better. But then the other side is it's also making space for the businesses, the smaller businesses, the small, tall businesses
Yeah. Oh, I love
that
that. Small,
are,
tall business. Yeah.
yeah, the small, tall businesses is not my term though. It's somebody else made it.
Okay. All right.
But it's making space for them to truly shine. So,
Yes.
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, honestly, but I
Yeah.
do also want to ask, like, what's your go-to brand?
Okay, so I have so many. I honestly am a chameleon with my dress. Like I'm an athlete, so I love sporty stuff. My daughter's like, "Mom, going in your closet is like a circus. There's like fringe, western, fur, sparkle. I mean, you name it, I got it."
Mm,
So I couldn't just name a couple, but just gonna start talking. I love tall size because I think it is a genius idea because I personally love scrolling the internet. None of my tall friends would ever do that. So it's a one-stop shop, right? We go
yeah,
there, we make it happen. I just think
everything is there.
yeah, it's amazing. It's such a cool thing. I love American Tall. I'm actually an ambassador for them. It's pretty fun. Yeah. Then I love Long Tall Sally. I just got this killer jacket from them. It's like a navy leather jacket and it fits like a glove.
Ooh,
I wore it to work the other day. I literally 6 people commented on it
ooh,
because it fits. It's not black.
yeah,
Black's too harsh for my palette. It's navy,
mm,
so it's a softer color and it actually fits.
ooh,
So
okay.
that's good. Alloy apparel. I like them for pants in particular. I love Buckle for jeans. So
Buckle. That's
Buckle's
like the first
cool.
time I've heard about that,
Yeah.
actually.
You can actually filter down by your waist and then your inseam, and it will just automatically populate jeans. Gap tall, I got to tell you, I found Christmas. I mean, Gap tall with my kids. The delivery man kept delivering packages one after another, and I'm thinking, you got to throw this behind the bush because my husband's coming home from work and I am wearing Gap tall out. So love Gap tall. For shoes, I wear size 12. I think it morphing into a 13 because the arches are dropping. I mean, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. But I love Zappos. I love Nordstrom Rack. I'm just going to take this boot off right now and show you this little baby.
Oh, it's so
Betsy
shiny.
Johnson.
It's so shiny.
So
Wait,
shiny.
can you like describe it a little bit, like maybe in one
Yeah,
sentence for the audio listener?
sure. Okay, first of all, I'm like a big fan. I love detailing. So look at the bottom. Okay, I love this color.
Ooh.
It's a block heel. I'm going to say it's a 3-inch heel, maybe 2.75-inch heel.
Mm,
Okay, but it's nice block heel. It's very comfortable. And it just has like all of these crystal rhinestones on there. So it is so sparkly and fab. And it's got a side zipper. Okay. Now, the
yeah.
one thing I will say, I am such an open book. I feel like the top of the boot is a little bit tight. So
Okay.
if you have like a thicker calf, I don't know. Personally, I would wear it probably unzipped because it's so fabulous. But they're just great. Betsy Johnson. I just ordered a pair of sparkly sneakers. Again, I need to find the UPS men.
We love sparkles though, honestly.
Yes, I know. When in doubt, bling it out.
Exactly. Oh my God, I like that. When in doubt, bling it out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this, all these tips, all like the brands, even some
Yeah.
recommendations that I didn't even know about.
Hmm.
Like that was so awesome. And I do have one last question.
Sure.
This is like a staple now. What is one piece of advice that you want to give to the tall girls who are listening right now who are struggling with their self-esteem because of their height?
Yeah. First of all, I think you're not alone. Like, if we're being honest, we've all been there. I mean, I disliked being tall for so long. I told you until I found basketball. Um, but I would say number one, you have to know that like you are different, but you're beautiful and like you're unique and know that about yourself. Like if you have to just tell yourself that, but you truly are so beautiful and special and unique, and you might not realize it at a younger age. But when you get older, like I would not change my height for the world. It's my favorite thing, like that I have this gift um, and know that people are going to talk about it. So be
Mhm.
proactive, instead of reactive. I have
Yep.
like a couple jokes that I can just rattle off, but I also love people. So you look at your height like a gift. It opens up so many doors. It opens up so many conversations. It brings you to like so many interesting people. And I think what you'll find is when you stand up straight and you feel great about how you look inside, how you are, what you're wearing outside, like it shows to the world. And just don't let anybody cut you down. Like, don't do it. Just be like, you know what? You be you. That's fine. But like, I'm doing my own thing and I'm doing it pretty darn well.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I love that advice so, so much. Thank you so much, Christine, for just sharing that, sharing all of your experiences and so forth, and just being on this podcast. It was honestly amazing to have you on here.
I loved it. And you're like such a joy. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And please, where can we find you on the interweb? Like socials,
Yes.
website, anything?
Yeah. So I have an Instagram, Christine Nelson Style Coach. So that's probably the best way to find me. I do a lot of like interesting videos. So I don't just do fashion, but I love putting a smile on people's faces. I do not take myself seriously. But I do virtual wardrobe styling. I do color analysis. Obviously, I do it in person as well. So that's the best place to find me.
Ooh, okay. And everything is going to be linked in the description, so it's easy for y'all to click on. And of course, I'll take a second to plug myself at a Tall Girls podcast. You know the drill. Search me up on Google, Bing, wherever. The internet is probably sick of me by now, but I'm not sick of this. So we're going to keep pushing. All of both of our socials. All of our information is going to be in the description. Thank you again, listeners, for tuning in. And thank you again, Christine, for being on here. It was honestly a pleasure.
Well, thank you, India. And again, I'm going to say this, I've said this before, but I think what you're doing is like masterful and so helpful. And I know it's a lot of work, but like you're doing the best thing that you could for all of us tall women.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I do. This is something that I enjoy, and I hope to be doing it for a very, very long time.
You can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and until, if of course, if you have any questions or comments for either one of us, you can hit us up, guys. And until then, we'll catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.
Bye.